welcome to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm your host, David Swope. Joining me is my co-host, Spencer Hill. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Fresh off of our trip to Las Vegas, Nevada. Went over there to do a little bit of spotting this weekend.
Yeah, so how did that go?
It was interesting. That's the first race I've actually spotted, at least to that caliber. We were with the Lucas Oil Modified Series, of course with my buddy Jason Irwin that we've had on the show before. And that was a crazy race. I definitely got my work cut out for me when I signed up for the spotting this weekend because we were dodging wrecks left and right. And I also got to spot for a legend driver too, so I was pulling double duty up on the spotter stand. So really busy weekend for us, but good overall. We had a fast car, winning car for sure. Unfortunately, we got into a little bit of trouble about halfway through the event. Lap 25, he got into another car, sent him around, and we got sent to the rear of the 20-car field. And didn't have quite enough time to come all the way back, but fought up to a third-place finish. So we'll take that after the year that we've had so far and move on to Madera.
That's cool. So, like when you're spotting, what are some of the things that you look for and you communicate with Jason?
A lot of things is just he wants as much information as possible. He wants to know what's going on behind him, as long as it doesn't, directly take up what he's doing inside the race car. If there's a car side by side, he wants to know where that car is. You want to see if he's even with you on your door, on your quarter panel, bumper, clear, simple things like that you do here like with the NASCAR.
Wow. So is there a particular order you always feed it to him in so that he knows that, or is it just the level of urgency?
It depends totally on urgency. Also, it does depend on how many laps are to go because you need to know when to push, when to hold back.
Sure.
Usually he's passing cars. Luckily, we do have a pretty fast driver with that. And typically what you see is he'll get on the inside or outside of a car and you'll hear something like inside quarter, which means they're at the rear quarter panel of the car, bumper right up with them, and then clear, and you're able to move lanes and go on with the race.
Wow. That's super cool. I always wondered what that was like because I had a different experience this weekend because I got to watch my car being driven by someone else, and I've never had that happen. Of course, Brian Grandin, who's been on here, so to have a professional behind the wheel of my car, I was very excited to see how well he would do, and he did good. He trying to get used to the car, of course, and I was surprised he'd never driven the road course at Sandia. He's done a lot of the
I was
ovals.
shocked to hear that too when he told me that. And of course, I saw that he got new tires for your car, so
Right.
a little bit better than those 3-year-old tires, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
And how'd the weekend go? Besides that, I know you also had a car show this weekend.
Yeah, we had a show at the Barley Room that was really awesome, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get there. But I want to go ahead and jump into the Unser Racing Museum event calendar. And, of course, going on this weekend on May the 11th is a Street to Strip. And so we have a graphic on that, which, of course, we've talked about that several times. What Street to Strip is, it's an opportunity for you to come out, street legal drags, bring your own car out, $25, as many passes as you want. And then, of course, on May 12th, we have the Car Club Clash that's going on. And we were joking about saying things 3 times fast. But the Car Club Clash, they are going to feature the New Mexico Mopar Challenge, as well as the Mountain States VW Club and the Swadra Bracket Challenge. And basically what it is different clubs can come out. You can compete with your buddies in the clubs, but I think there's also a club award. So the club that has the best times actually wins that. So that's pretty cool. Sandy Motor Speedway this weekend, May 12th, is the Oval Racing Series. Starts at 6:30 on the clay. It's the May Mania event. And the other cool thing that's going to be going on out there, and we've got a slide for this, is drifting is going to be going on out there.
Love the drift cars out there.
Yeah.
They're always putting on a good show for all the fans. Everybody likes seeing a little bit of smoke.
Absolutely, and of course that was a shot of Dan. I know him as Turbo Dan. A lot of people know him as Officer Dan, but definitely one of a kind. Whiskey Garage is putting that on. That morning there'll actually be an open track day, so if you want to go out, take your car out and have some time. But Sandy Motocross at Moriarty had a big their second race of the season last weekend. The next race for them will be June 9th and 10th to be round 3 of the Moriarty MX 2018 Racing Series. But talking about that, from Rio Rancho, We had Jason Anderson that won the 450, and you started to talk about that last week, and we didn't get to really cover it as much. But congratulations to Jason, 9 points. There's a picture of Jason there, 9 points. He won the championship, finished 5th in the race for 450 SX, but comes away with the championship over some pretty big names, actually. And only 4 years in, Jason's really getting it done. I mean, what does it mean to have a guy from Rio Rancho to get that done in the 450 class?
Well, it's really cool having somebody from the 505 go out to a big stage such as Monster Energy AMA Supercross and put out Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and Moriarty, pretty big motocross towns, at least locally, and throwing them out there to the big screen. So it's so cool to see someone like Jason Anderson get out there with his number 21 Husqvarna and pick up his first championship. It was really emotional for everybody on that team.
Yeah, it's amazing. Consider 4 victories this season, 11 podiums, and 4 top 4 finishes out of 14 of 17 races. I mean, that's pretty amazing because it's so grueling. And of course, to get it done, AMA Supercross Championship in Vegas. So probably a little partying afterwards.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, might be a few days before it makes sense to reach out to Jason. But what do we got going on car shows this weekend?
Car shows tomorrow, May 12th. We have the 13th annual Hurley Pride Car Show. May 12th, we have the NAMI Walks and Car Show at Balloon Fiesta Park. May 15th, we're going to have the Freddy's Car Show and Cruise In. And then we also had, of course, the Barley Room Show.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Barley Room Show. We've got a slide here for the Best of Show trophy, which I want to give a shout out to Mile to Wild. They laser cut them in steel, so we give away a Best of Show and a People's Choice. But the really cool story for me was I got an email, and a gentleman, his name is Chuck, actually sent me an email and said, hey, the little red Corvette is going to make it out. And we've had the Corvette Club come out many times, but here's actually a shot of the Corvette. And so he brought it out, and he pulled on the property, and he said, hey, you're David Swope, right? And I said, yeah. And I said, where do you want it in the show? And he goes, no, I'm here. I got a surprise for you. And I was like, okay. So he kind of, he pulled away, and then I noticed it was a 63 split window, because you can see the split window on the back. And so he rolled away, and I was like, the first car I ever fell in love with was a 63 split window that my dad had. So he's rolling away, and I'm like thinking to myself, is that the car? So my dad happens to pull on the property just right at the same time, which was crazy. So Chuck, his name's Chuck Fuller. Chuck Fuller gets out of the car. He comes over to me and he goes, David, this is actually the car your father used to own.
Wow.
And I said, well, so this is like I was 4 years old. So this is like 40 some odd years ago. And I said, well, my dad just happened to get here. So here's a picture actually of all of us. Chuck's in the yellow T-shirt. That's my parents in the white. Of course, they're in my black T-shirt at the Barley Room Show. So it was such a surprise because I didn't even know. One, you think about, my dad used to race that car SCCA and beat production. The guy put it back into a street car, but it's still got the roll cage and everything in it. And to just think that this car has been bought and sold at least 3 other times, never left the state of New Mexico.
That's shocking.
And to see it, I mean, it was just like, it was just crazy. But yeah, you see he didn't have to do a whole lot of work. He did say there was a few dings and stuff from road racing, because you're going to get rocks and that kind of stuff. But just blew my mind.
That's really impressive too.
Absolutely blew my mind.
Total homecoming coming at the Barley Room this weekend. Then
it was like full circle. So I told him, I said, wait, we're definitely going to have to do an article in the magazine about it, and I want to get because Ken Fascini is also a local racer that had owned the car at one time. So I was like, hey, we should get grab a cup of coffee and get you guys all together and tell the life story of this car. Now, granted, it came into our family. That's a 63, probably about 69, 70. So there might be a little history that we don't know. We'll see if we can get some history back. I think that car was sold at Ed Black's. So, I mean, you consider Ed Black's was a local dealer here in town off of San Mateo and Central forever, and they sponsored a lot of the stuff. They used to have the Corvette Club meetings there. So it'd be very interesting to see just how far back we could go in the history. But it's it's always great when something like that happens, because you don't know what's coming. This guy knew, he was totally setting me up, and so I didn't know, but Chuck to bring that out was really cool. And we had a lot of other neat cars that came out. The car that won the best of show was a full restoration '66 convertible Mustang. The thing was so cool, and you didn't grab any pictures. I was so blown away by what was going on with the Corvette. But they had even had Mustangs tooled into the leather in the seats. I mean, it was just out of this world, and a lot of other neat cars that came out. But at one time, I was standing there looking, and we had stuff from a golf cart to everything from a full restoration to custom. There was even like a '76 Pacer. It was in the all original, and I was like, that, I mean, and not to hurt her feelings, but it's like, that's like the ugliest car ever made. Next to the Gremlin, it's right there. But we also had Caleb Cox came out with his quarter midget, and we had a little set up a couple of cones, and he did some laps out there in the parking lot. And it was funny because then Caleb Luce, who's got that really nice Dirty Bird 64, was parked right next to it. And he got worried that he thought that the other Caleb, the young Caleb, was going to run his quarter midget into his car. So he was like, so then he had to move. So it was a lot of fun. Beautiful day. Split decision was fantastic. And of course, there was a lot of cool things going on that day. And so we just appreciate the people that came out. But we get some cars. A lot of times it's cars I'd never seen at other shows, and it just amazes me how they hear about us and come out. But had a great weekend, and as a matter of fact, we're going to be talking later in the show. We're going to be talking some more NASCAR because it was a great weekend in Dover.
Yes.
Of course, we've got some guests coming up. We're going to talk some Outlaw Desert Racing, and Steve Haydu was at the other car show this weekend.
We had dueling car shows this weekend.
Dueling car shows.
So we get to hear about a little bit of what was happening on the other side of Albuquerque.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
you know Sunrun Solar is the largest residential solar company in the country? Go solar and save 20% on your electric bill for as little as $0 down. Exclusive partner with Costco, and member guests receive special benefits. Call Mike Gutierrez at 505-227-0791. Sunrun Solar.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on ProView Network. Now I would like to introduce this week's guest for us. You might know him from Steve's Cruising with the Oldies. We have Steve Haydu on this week. How are you doing, Steve?
Good. How are you today, Spencer?
I'm pretty good. You were at the other car show, as we said in the last segment. How did that one go this weekend?
Actually, it went quite well. I was over at Hooters there on San Mateo doing the kickoff of our spring-summer cruise events that we do all year long. And actually, we had a very good turnout. Probably 70 cars, I would say, and an array of vehicles, and just all sorts of age groups show up, and we had a great time.
Very cool. Yeah. What were some of the cool cars that were down there?
Let's see, we had anywhere from, well, of course, you had kids' custom bikes, you had motorcycles, of course, hot rods. Actually, the biggest four-wheel drive I've actually seen in town.
Wow.
It was a dually with the biggest tires I've ever seen. That thing was a monster.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was like about an 80 Chevy. Actually, a few lowriders came out. There was a beautiful Cadillac lowrider there, and so we have an array of vehicles there at that car show. So it's always a great time.
Yeah, always a good time down there at Hooters.
Right.
Of course, those happen quite often, right?
Yeah. And usually we do twice a month, and throughout the year from May all the way through I would say October.
Very cool.
So we do those. So we'll be doing the West Side Hooters here coming up in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks there. I think it's about the 19th, May 19th. So we'll be on the West Side Hooters out there.
Very cool. Of course, always great time down there at Hooters. Got to go represent New Mexico and check out all the cool cars that we have here.
Right.
Of course, great cars here in the Albuquerque metro area with the great climate that we do have here.
Right. Yeah, we have a big show coming up on Memorial Day weekend out at Route 66 Casino Hotel. So last year we had about 300 cars, so that's coming up. So I always look forward to that gig. I have such a big wide of age group for what I do with Cruising with the Oldies with my DJ business. So I can play anywhere from the 50s all the way up to the newest hip hop and country, fill that in. So that's coming up on Memorial Day weekend. So I look forward to that big show coming up at the end of the month. And
another big show that you're well known for is the Super Nationals car show. You want to tell us a little bit about what goes on there? Of course, that's in the beginning of the year.
Right. The Super Nationals is always like the last weekend of January or first weekend of February at the Manuel Lujan building out there at the State Fairgrounds. And of course, Reggie and Matt put that on. That's a pretty huge show. I got 5 buildings I have to fill with music. So we have to string cables and speakers. So it takes 2 days ahead of time.
A lot of logistics behind that.
Yeah, that's right. We get there Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday's the show. And I think we're there at about 4 in the morning on Monday morning, Sunday night late, tearing down. But it's always a great time for that Super National show.
Yeah, Reggie and all of them, great people down there.
Right.
Always a great time at the Super Nationals car show.
It's a great family affair, great family gathering, and you see such an array of beautiful vehicles coming out.
And a lot of really nice vendors too are out there.
That's right, yeah. Anything to do with automotive related vendors is going to be underneath those roofs there at the
great opportunity for local businesses to go out and show all their fans what they have going on for the next upcoming year.
Exactly.
What's your favorite car show memory?
Favorite car show memory? Probably the favorite one is probably when my dad was there actually showing off his car, and he won Best of Show, and he was really excited because we worked real hard on his T-Bird. He has a 60 T-Bird we put together, and he got Best of Show for that. And that was actually a good memory because me and my dad were real close, and he was real happy and all the hard work he put in, and that was one of my fondest memories right there.
Very cool. And now he's doing stuff with the Corvette, right?
Right. Now he's in the New Mexico Corvette Association. He's been in that for, back in the Ed Black days, as you were mentioning earlier, back in the 70s. He's been a member of that. And I remember going to meetings there at Ed Black Chevrolet. Yeah, they do an array of a lot of cruises, a lot of outdoor events and that. So he stays pretty busy doing that. And we're getting ready to pull in a 67 pickup truck now. We're going to totally go through, and we're going to do that together and restore that for a customer. So we're looking forward to that.
Nice. And we do have a couple pictures that we can bring up here of your little camper that you go traveling
That's
around
right.
with. You're able to fit all of your equipment in that little camper?
That's right. Yeah, and there it is right there. Yeah, it's a 1955 Can-Ham trailer, we call that. And I got all the studio in there, just like a regular studio you'd go into. I have everything in that trailer and my speakers. And then I do have a bigger rig when I do my bigger outdoor events. But I can keep everything contained in there and then pull up so we don't have to worry about the weather or anything getting in, bothering us with the climate that we actually have here in New Mexico.
And
but
here's
yeah,
a
it's always
beautiful
great.
car sitting here. And
Yeah,
this
that's
was
a
from
beautiful
this weekend.
Chevy too. Actually, I think that got almost best of show at the last show there at Hooters. A lot of Chevy 2s coming out of the woodwork lately. I don't know. It's a pretty popular car.
Yeah,
But,
and then here we have another thing that I wanted to
Yeah,
talk
there
to
you
you
go.
about was your drag car. Of course, you raced the Super Pro Roadster division
Right.
with that beautiful Roadster that we
Yeah,
see
that's
there.
a 27 Brogy Roadster. It's about a 1992, 93 chassis. Picked that up from a friend that passed away here recently. And so it's got some great memories, and I totally went through that. It took 5 years to build that. It's got a big block Chevy in it, runs alcohol injected. It's turning 9.5s, about 140 so far out here at our track at a mile-high altitude. So that's like 8 down in Phoenix or somewhere. So we have a great time. Bring the whole family out, family event out there at the Dragway. We got races coming up actually this Saturday. So we're all going to come out
Awesome.
there and have a great time. Bring the kids and the wife and. Maybe I just get a few friends, come out and have a great time.
Yeah,
So,
I'd love to come out there if I
yeah,
have a little bit of
come on
extra
out,
time
come on
too.
out.
It's always cool to get out to the Dragway. Of course, ABQ Dragway, huge supporter of the New Mexico Motorsports
Yeah, Robert
Report.
Costa is doing a great job out there keeping that drag strip going with Jim Riedel as a management. And they've done so much work out there at that racetrack. If no one's been out there lately, they need to really come out and check it out. It's a beautiful facility, and it's always improving, always improving.
And it's right here in our backyard in Albuquerque, so we
Right.
definitely need to take advantage
Right.
of going out there
Right.
and supporting all of our local racing businesses and showing all the cool cars off that we do have here. One thing I want to touch on really quick, and you mentioned it just a second ago, was the altitude. When
Right.
you're drag racing, what kind of a challenge does altitude bring to the table?
Altitude to me is a lot of challenge because the faster you go, the more air you're sucking. Well, of course, here we don't have as much air, so you need to jet that vehicle down to a point where you get the mixture just perfect to get the better RPMs and the ETs out of it here in racing. So then when you start relying on tires and traction, you got to start looking for different ways, especially if you're natural aspirated. Compared to a supercharger car, of course, when you got a supercharger or blower that we like to call it, you can add more air to your vehicle there, and you can kind of cheat Mother Nature. But yeah, it's always a challenge, but that's why we're out there to have a great time, a challenge, and competing, and it's always a good time.
What made you choose drag racing?
Drag racing, probably in the blood, being raised in Ohio. And when I was a kid, of course, that was the gasser country, we call it, with the Willies, Anglias, Henry J, stuff like that. And my dad and my aunts used to always take me to the racetrack when I was young, and I just loved that quarter mile, that feel of horsepower and going down the track.
It's such a hard thing to explain to
Yeah,
viewers
it is
about
really hard.
how it feels to
Yeah.
just go from something stopped to just blazing down the quarter mile just like that. It's
Correct.
amazing what all this technology is doing.
Correct.
And like we were talking about a little bit earlier in the week, technology, especially with the electronics now, have played such a big role
Right.
in drag racing.
Correct.
And you said that you didn't have very many electronics on
No,
your Roadster.
I'm not running any electronics at this time, and kind of some people look at me kind of funny. They said, "Why aren't you running?" I said, "Well, I'm old school. I want to just go out there and just drive it by the seat of my pants." Where a lot of these guys got so much electronic stuff in there, they just press a button and the car does it all. And I'd rather have that, try and learn how to do it the way the old school did it. So I'm not out there to win. I'll admit that. I'm out there to have a good time.
Well, that's the name of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
it comes down to it with any sport,
Right.
even with my racing. At the end of the day, if I'm not enjoying it, we are not going back.
Right.
And we keep on
Right.
going back. So obviously we're doing
Exactly.
something right. And I know
Yeah.
it's the same with you and
It's
drag
not about
racing.
winning the money, because we all know it costs a lot of money to go out there and have fun.
Yeah, you're hardly
Anything's
ever
gonna do
making
that.
money when you're
Right.
going to the racetrack.
You just want to go out there,
so.
have fun. You get your family, your friends, and you do the best you can. And you just and it's just another good day at the track. I mean, a bad day at the races is better than a good day at work.
Any day, yeah,
right.
of course.
That's right.
So the tree, that's something that everybody talks about when
Right.
drag racing comes up.
Right.
How do people practice with reaction times?
Trees are hard to do. You can buy little devices. You can get your own tree, have it at home. You got your little button, and you can practice. But it takes a skill, I think, learning how to cut good lights. But eventually, if you work at it, you can get that. And actually, I'm in a club, a Swadra Club, and which is the Southwest Drag Racing Association, which will be out there this weekend, their first club meeting.
With the first points race, right?
First points race coming up this Saturday. And at every meeting, once a month, they have their own tree set up. And of course, we all get together and you do the racing. And actually, I don't want to be a bragger, I beat everybody last week.
Pissing everybody off
I got
already.
people mad because I am a rookie. I'm a rookie at this. And I was beating guys that have been doing this for 40 years. So it's finally, when you're there, you get loved. But once you start winning, it's amazing how you're hated by the end of the evening. But it's all in fun. So it's all in fun.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's always a good time.
And the pros, they constantly practice that too. I was watching
Right.
NHRA this week, and Tanner
Right.
Gray, he had a little bit rough showing last time out. He
Right.
said that he practiced on his own tree at home about
Yep.
400 times
Yep.
leading into this weekend's event. So it definitely does make a difference.
Yes, it does,
And you see that in everyday things too. One thing that I've noticed in my racing is on the streets, I've avoided so many wrecks.
Right.
and that's kind of, that surprised me because a lot of it does carry over to what you do outside
good reaction
of that
times,
too.
and it's funny about drag racing. Cutting a good light, good tree. It doesn't matter how old you are. There's guys out there in their 70s still cutting good lights. So age really doesn't make a difference in that, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think John Force is a really good
Well,
example
yeah, like a
of
John
age
Force. Yeah.
really doesn't matter in that sport.
Mid-60s, still out there doing it.
Still with a championship mentality.
His daughter just won last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah, she did. Yep, I saw that. Now, one thing I have always wanted to ask you, I think anybody that has seen you in person has recognized you with your long ponytail.
That's right.
What is your routine in the morning?
Thanks a lot. It takes 20 minutes to get ready. So a lot of guys don't want me going out in the races with them because if I stay in the same hotel room, I am the last one to leave. So they say, we ain't taking you, Steve. It takes you an hour and a half to get ready. You're worse than my other. But it's all in good. I just keep the long hair. I don't know why. I've always had long hair since the 80s. And sometimes I think I just grow it because some people can't. I don't know. That ain't right. I shouldn't say that.
Shout out to Ed Myers on that one. No, but all in good fun. And there's a lot of people that help you out with what you do. Of course, you also own your own business outside of the drag racing and the DJing.
Right.
You want to tell us a little bit quickly about that?
Actually, Alliance Appliance is the name of our business. It's family run. My sister, my father, my dad started in 1980. We do appliance repair, and we've been, we work with Whirlpool. And we get service calls and 5 days a week fix appliances, and that actually is our real job. Real job. The DJing I do is on the weekends for fun, and then the drag racing is a hobby, and we just stay busy. And so
just keep on chugging along. That's good.
It.
So if people wanted to get in contact you with any of your businesses, what's the best way to do so?
Just give me you can just call up on the phone, 505-280-5027. It's my cell, 280-5027 for any DJ work you want done. If you got an event coming up, an outdoor event, I can set up anywhere up to 16 speakers. I can do 2 soccer fields. So I can do quite from anything small to large. And that's about the best way. Or next time you see a car show, if you see my canned ham trailer, stop on by.
Very cool.
Can't miss me. Can't miss me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on the show today,
thanks for
Steve.
having me here
appreciate
today.
it.
Thanks.
You're watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, and we'll be right back.
How was that?
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hey, New Mexico, come check out the newly remodeled guest rooms at the new Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center, featuring 309 rooms, 30,000 square feet of meeting space. New Mexico's only indoor water park featuring the Wave Runner. 2,200 square foot fitness center with hydro massage chairs. Also enjoy breakfast at our new Manzanita Grill and watch your favorite team play at Altitude Sports Bar and Grill. It's all at Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with ProView Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of ProView Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26. And joining me now is Chris Trujillo. How you doing, Chris?
I'm all right. It's Carlos, though.
Carlos, sorry about that.
No
I knew
biggie.
that. I have it written down. Oh, no, I wrote it down wrong. That's what's wrong.
It's all right.
Carlos, but I knew that. So sorry about that, Carlos.
No sweat.
But thank you for coming to the show and talking a little outlaw desert racing, and got a big event coming up in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys had us out. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. And we're having an event. It's Outlaw Desert Racing. It's Memorial Weekend out at TRC. We're in conjunction working with them. There was an old abandoned oval track that people had turned into a motocross track. It had just been kind of dormant for years.
Yep.
And we're making it now where they helped us out. We're going to do a little bit of dirt work. We're using joining land adjacent to it, and we're going to make the grandstands out of there and then riding around it. So it's going to be one of the old races that it's going to be reviving from 1964. It was one of the first off-road races in North America, in all of America itself. We have some old Jeeps, people that are still from the old neighborhood out there that actually won the race itself. It's a lot of history. We have a big support from the community. We have it's because it's the Veterans 150.
Yeah.
It's the local first responders have come volunteering, you know, just like crazy. And so we have the local deuce and a half rigs with all the military vehicles. They're going to do a show, and we're going to line the streets with American flags. And we're having it at the VFW in Elephant Butte for the tech party Friday night. and then the race will be just west of Tier C. So we're bringing everybody all together, kind of changing the atmosphere. Instead of it being just another day off and Memorial Weekend going to the lake, it'll be a tribute race that we're bringing in racers from all over, to pay tribute for the ultimate sacrifice and making it a very friendly environment. It's gonna be really fun.
That's perfect for Memorial Day weekend, and I mean, and you guys always do it up. I mean, big, and of course, anytime Drew's involved, I mean, I always kid him about. I mean, he's like the consummate announcer, and he gets people growing. But we've got a couple of shots of some off-road vehicles, because I know there's all kinds of different forms of off-road racing, and so what is something like that?
So this right here would be considered a Class 1 unlimited car.
Wow.
It's basically a buggy with the engine in the rear, two-wheel drive. It usually rides about 37-inch tires, 600 to 800 horsepower. A little bit lighter than a trophy truck, faster and more nimble. It can stop and it can accelerate faster because the engine is in the back, and has certain really, really nice features to it. That right there is Josh Rigsby's out of New Mexico. This was our last race in Belen, and that right here is a Jeep that would be in Jeep speed with a V8. That's Drew. That was back when he used to race. He was the champion for years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for best in the desert for about 3 years in the Jeep speed.
Yeah.
We have a lot of different classes. We have all the way from the kids. We have dirt bikes, quads. We have a really growing UTV class right now because you can just go and buy a production really nice race car nowadays. We have an army of trucks and a lot of 9 Volkswagen car buggies, 1600s like that.
So tell me, I mean, because here's another buggy, and one thing before I get back to the UTVs I wanted to talk a little bit about, but one thing that amazes me is the community of off-road racers, because you're in the middle of nowhere if something breaks down, and you guys actually have people that stop to help somebody. And then continue on in the race. I mean, that doesn't happen in NASCAR. You do know that, right? They're liable to run over you. We're
very unique, and we believe that because of the elements, because of the proximity, and it being a very camaraderie sport, that we really have each other's backs when it comes to even advertising and marketing, and helping each other when it comes to tools or parts, or if somebody needs a spare, we're definitely not going to leave them behind in the desert, and. It's something that really drew me to off-road racing as it is, just because you can go out there and you can make friends, and once you're part of the off-road family, you're part of the off-road family.
Yeah. So tell me about the explosion, really, of the UTV. I mean, because the last couple of years, I mean, has really been a big. I mean, because now you can spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on a UTV. Blows my mind.
Right out of the box.
Tell me a little bit about the kind of what the bird. Where what market was being underserved that they built that?
Well, what I believe is, because I slid in right in the last part of people that were still having to fabricate on their own. I learned from Butch's Speed Shop and Champion Raceworks out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I had really good mentors that helped me out on the trophy truck level and fabricating all the way up from there. And so once you can see over the last 5 years, it's starting to tip towards production, where you can walk in the store and buy a race car and get a warranty on it. And it's making it so competitive now that's where the sponsorships are, and it's similar to the 80s and early 90s with motocross.
Okay.
And so you can see a lot of the manufacturers coming out of the woodwork that really want to have their name at the top of the mark right there,
That's amazing. And so you just came back April 7th from the UTV World Championship.
Yes, sir.
I mean, tell me how that went.
That was insane. We had a land rush start. We started in the back. We were the second to last car. It was kind of a firing squad because there was 13 cars in front of us, rows, like 10 rows in front of us. And so each row took off, and we got nailed with a lot of rocks.
Oh, my gosh.
We went out there, and we battled it all day in the dust, about 150 miles. We did really well. We could have done a little bit better. We had a long pit that really kept us out of the top 5, but I was really proud of it. Cody and Casey Curry were the next team right above us with Monster Energy that were only 30 seconds ahead of us. And
wow.
We were just, local sponsored, just out of New Mexico with Bobby J's out of Yamaha over there, It was really something to be proud of. We went out there, and you don't really know until you try. We have a lot of fast people from New Mexico, and that's why we're trying to dip into our untapped potential out here, because we could potentially be the best out there. We just don't know. And if we can run on our own tracks and have our own out here that are really, on the level of drone cinematography that we're able to do for our racing, we can get sponsorship levels that it matches Red Bull. It matches anybody on the West Coast when it comes to their quality of production.
Well, I mean, the Johnsons, Keith and Stan and the whole group over there. As a matter of fact, they've got a nice one sitting on the showroom right now. If you want to go by and see it, Bobby J's. But they keep a lot of things going. I mean, of course, Jason Anderson winning the 450 AMA Arena Cross. Of course, some sponsorship from Bobby J's. I mean, Bobby J's is, does a lot of stuff in the New Mexico Motorsports Report magazine for us. So we got to give him his love as much as we can. But talk a little bit about trophy trucks and your involvement with like Robbie Gordon and things like that.
Well, I work for a partnership. I had been mentored over the last about 3 years. My really good friend, Kenny Chavez, out of Los Lunas, New Mexico, he came up through the ranks throughout here, and then he's been out in Las Vegas for about 15 years working with the top level people. And he brought me in to TJ Flores' camp through Champion Raceworks. And they work with Todd Romano, that's partners with Robbie Gordon with Super Stadium Trucks.
Yeah.
And I had learned pretty much a crash course and been able to go out there.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah, exactly. No bad pun, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome because I was able to bring back what I had learned from some of the best to be able to bring it to New Mexico, and now we can own our own race league, and we can actually. That was around December of last year. I was voted president of Outlaw Desert Racing. Drew handed over the keys because he was getting to the point where he knew that the momentum was swinging with us on doing well, and then it just kind of carried over with us doing well in April, and now here we are. We're ready for Memorial Weekend.
Well, that's fantastic, and of course, Drew started a business. So that's always a good way to mess it. So let's talk a little bit about if people wanted to get information on how to go out to that event, maybe get involved in that event, how would you recommend they get some information about it?
The best way is our Facebook page, Outlaw Desert Racing on Facebook, and then we just started a new website this year. It's outlawdesert.com. Easy way to check all the rules and when the updates are coming. You can see all the new pictures and videos, anything going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, would it be something that you could build fairly quickly, or, I mean, should you have been planning 6 months ago to get involved in this race?
We have a sportsman class that a lot of people are bringing their stock UTVs out.
Okay.
And with minimal work, you have to have safety nets and a full-piece suit. I mean, a lot of things you can go buy at Yearwood. You can buy a lot of other places in town. Safety nets, harnesses, just certain things. We have the list on there. Very minimal, and we try to keep our entry fees really low as well too. So that way it's accessible for everyone.
So you can go on the Facebook page and get a registration sheet or anything like that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you can print it out and have it ready for whenever race day and tech inspection hits. You come with all your paperwork.
Awesome. Well, Carlos, thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming on. And we're going to talk some national racing. Of course, we're going to talk about Dover last week and how things went. And, of course, Kansas is going to be very interesting with Matt Kenseth making a return to the Monster Energy Cup. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Don't forget, every ProView Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewnetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with ProView Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Nothing completes a trip downtown like a visit to Lindy's Cafe. You won't find a more relaxing restaurant to unwind at. Located on 5th and Central, proud supporters of ProView Networks, Lindy's strives to be a friendly and welcoming place.
Lindy's, a great place to be seen.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
My truck's my baby, and the only guys to get to work on her are my guys. They know how important she is, and they treat her with respect. When it's time for maintenance, they check her out from head to toe, and my guys don't wait for something to go wrong. They let me know what they see so that little problems don't become big ones. And when it comes to technology, my guys are setting the pace. From diagnostics to communication, they're always ahead of the curve. Do I trust them? You bet I do. These are my guys. Make them your guys too.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network. Welcome back, Spencer.
I'm back. What's up?
That was a great interview with Steve Haydu. I love going and giving him a hard time, but you know, I didn't really realize that he was drag racing until one time he hollered at me out there, and that's an incredible vehicle. And as a matter of fact, saw him the other day heading to one of the shows in a T-bucket. You guys got some cool stuff. So anyway, let's talk about the Camping World Truck Race at Dover last week. The whole weekend was fantastic, the race at Dover, but it really got it kicked off on Friday night with Johnny Sauter coming away with the win. But of course, contact with Noah Gregson really kind of sending into overtime.
Really controversial is what it was, Dave.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he had a lot of people upset at first, but then kind of saved it there at the end when he did his post-race interview and was so apologetic. Maybe overly apologetic. I mean, at the end of the day, you are going for a race win. Of course, it was contact. I would call that a racing deal, but I don't know. It's a tough call right there when you get into contact with a champion like Johnny Sauter like that, and all eyes are on you, of course.
Well, absolutely. But like you said, I mean, he stepped up and he took responsibility for his part in it. But at the same time, he also showed, you know, hey, I'm going to race you. And he explained how, you know, he didn't mean to, you know, get into his door like that. But he's not the only one. And we're going to talk a little bit about the end of the Xfinity race. And so it does happen. But if you're in yourself in a position like that, I mean, you got to make a run for it. But now the points that Johnny Sauter now takes the points lead with his 2 victories over Brett Moffitt, which Brett Moffitt was really having a tough time in both this race, because he spins on lap 1, and the Xfinity race he spins in lap 3 or something like that. So Brett Moffitt, Ben Rhodes, Noah Gregson now 4th, and Grant Iffinger you know, round out with the points. But when you kind of take a look at the points, there's kind of some surprising as we get to the cutoff with that, because is it Mighty Snyder? How do you pronounce that?
Myatt Snyder.
Myatt. I mean, it's like I've never heard of him. I mean, Justin Haley. I mean, you know, you got Dalton Sargent. And of course, Cody Coughlin. He's got great sponsorship, but Stuart Friesen in there. Probably one of the only names out of that whole group of 5 that I kind of know. I mean, it's really great what they're doing. I mean, they're really bringing up some young drivers and getting them a shot.
Yeah, and you mentioned Myatt Snyder there. Of course, that's Marty Snyder from the TV. That's his son.
Wow.
So he's getting involved, of course, with that beautiful KBM ride now. Louisiana hot sauce on the truck this past weekend. And he's doing great. He really is. He's having a good season so far. Stuart Friesen, as you just mentioned, he's coming out of the gate really strong. Almost won his first race at Eldora, and then again earlier this year. So he's on fire as well. Look for them to take a lot of momentum going into Kansas this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Kansas is going to be the side. Xfinity is going to be off. But let's talk a little Xfinity from Dover. And of course, Justin Allgaier getting it done. Check for $100,000 doesn't hurt at all.
No.
Little contact with Elliott Sadler, who probably had the strongest car of the day, ran him down. And of course, it's always good to use a pick to help the situation out. But a great victory, and you see Junior Motorsports going 1-2. And of course, there was a picture of Justin Allgaier doing a burnout after his victory. But then, you take a look at the points where they're at. Tyler Reddick is still in second in points. Christopher Bell, Elliott Sadler, and Daniel Hemrick, who actually had a pretty good run in that race for quite a while as well. But what's your thoughts on the Xfinity race at Dover?
Xfinity race was really exciting this weekend in Dover. Of course, you go to the Monster Mile, you're expecting a lot of carnage.
Right.
And they handled themselves really well this weekend. Really not too many incidents. Of course, there at the end got super exciting when Elliott Sadler and Justin Allgaier fought hard for that $100,000 and the race win. And that ended up moving Justin Allgaier into the first position in points, which is going to help him a lot as they move forward.
Well, absolutely, because you look at the points there, and a victory gets you in, and so he, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell. You look at the overall points lead. Of course, you can see Justin Allgaier has a great edge on points, but your actual on hard points. I mean, Elliott Sadler with the 401s, 401 has been extremely consistent. But on the cutoff, it's kind of stays the same. Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, Michael Annett though actually had a pretty good run, also running for Junior Motorsports. Ryan Sieg and Alex Labate, who's actually a rookie out of Canada. So a lot of good drivers out there. And like I said, I mean, the Xfinity shows this year have really been excellent. And so if you're not a fan of Xfinity and you're not watching the Friday or Saturday races, depending on how it goes with the Monster Cup, you're going to have to wait now, because it's May 26th at Charlotte's the next time Xfinity is going to run.
Yeah, and you shout out to Alex Labate there.
Yeah.
Of course, the Canadian driver coming into his first season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That's huge for a driver like that. He hasn't even ran that many ovals in his entire career, and he comes into the Xfinity Series with all these huge caliber teams, and he's fighting side by side, and now has moved into 15th in points. So that's a huge, huge accomplishment for that driver.
Absolutely. A couple of other stories, of course, in the Xfinity. Spencer Gallagher, and basically having the victory taken away, is suspended, because of indefinitely because it failed a drug test. I mean, right now, I haven't heard the reports, unless you've heard it, at what time that test was taken. I mean, because it could be a little scary. I mean, if that was taken before the race, I mean, it's like, what's the issue there? But what are your thoughts on that, with a small team finally getting over and then kind of being pulled down to reality with something like that?
Well, something that I don't understand is, and of course, we don't know the full story about what type of drug or whatever was found, but if you're going to go up and you're going to yell into the TV at the end of your interview that we're going to party like it's 1999 right after your first win, there's a good opportunity that you're going to have a random drug test the next Monday morning. So really unfortunate for that team, though. Of course, they threw Johnny Sauter, the veteran, into that number 23 Chevrolet for him. He did a great job covering in short notice there. But that's got to hurt a team.
Yeah.
Of course, Maurice Gallagher, the team owner there, not only is the GMS owner, but also Spencer's dad.
Yeah.
So it hits a little bit harder when something like that comes out of the woodwork, especially after such a huge win like they had there in Talladega. to the news Monday morning that everything was going to be ripped away like that. So really thinking of Spencer at this time. I know he's a good kid. He's already agreed to going through the road to recovery with NASCAR and their program that they have there. So a lot more news to cover on that in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, and also there was a fight. I mean, and ended up the police had to take off one of the former JP Motorsports, actually, punching one of his bosses or whatever. And so it's funny because, I mean, stuff like that happens, and to actually see the story on that. Well, let's talk a little about Monster Energy. And of course, it was Kevin Harvick's day. The only interruption there, of course, was the weather. And of course, the Xfinity race started an hour earlier, but you had Kevin Harvick coming away, dominating with 201 laps led. Walks away with a bunch of bonus points too. Clint Boyer almost had it. He was doing a rain dance, hoping that the rain would continue.
He was trying
right?
hard there.
So he could get that victory.
And another driver that we should mention is Daniel Suarez.
Yes.
With, his third place finish, best finish on an oval in his entire career, matching his best finish at Watkins Glen last year. Great run for that driver in the Eris Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah, and absolutely, he did a great job. It's funny you mentioned that because we got a picture, the slide coming up, because it was when I was going to talk about the position that he's got himself in. But take a look at the points now with 4 victories. You got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch with his 3rd victories. Joey Logano took almost a year to get back to victory lane. Clint Boyer, Martin Truex are your top 5 in standings. Chris, and then also important to mention at the end of that, with 6th place still being Austin Dillon with his win from Daytona.
Correct. Yep. Win and you're in. And so, of course, there's Harvick with his 4 at the Monster Mile. Playoff picture guy Alex Bowman is sitting at 15th in points. Chase Elliott on the cutoff line. Ricky Stenhouse, which of course is having silently a tremendous season. He wins, one of those restrictor plate races. He's in, but he's on the edge of doing it on points. Of course, there's Daniel Suarez, and you mentioned what a great run he's had. William Byron, kind of on the outside, but we're only 9-10 races in on the season, so plenty of time for all that to change. But one of the stories to watch this weekend going into Kansas is going to be the return of Matt Kenseth. And how is that going to affect the team, and how does that affect Trevor Bayne?
Trevor Bayne, he's sweating right now. He has very limited time to make a big move in the sport, and for another driver such as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this is a great time because Roush Fenway Racing is finally getting their speed back, and now they're bringing in a driver like Matt Kenseth back to their stable, and they're going to be able to share notes, bounce off ideas with each other, and he's going to be able to bring over that knowledge from Joe Gibbs Racing back to Roush Fenway. And in my opinion, we're going to see a resurgence with Roush Fenway Racing here in the next couple years.
Well, and that's great, because it's like the stabilizer, a guy that can maybe communicate that a little bit better than Bayne. Now, granted, Bayne's got a Daytona 500 victory, but, he hasn't necessarily done a lot since then. And he's been involved in a lot of accidents recently. And you contrast that to his teammate and how, Ricky continues to get better and better. And it's not just the restrictor plate, and it's not just the short tracks or the things that are different, but there is a difference in horsepower. And I think that maybe Kenseth is going to be able to help with that, some setup. Maybe they do some little tweaking. If that goes well, are we going to see him permanently for the rest of the season in that seat?
I'm going to go out on a limb and make the bold prediction as, we're going to see him next season in that number 6 Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Yeah. It's just a move that makes sense for everybody involved. Yeah. He's able to sell a little bit more sponsorship now that Advocare is starting to part a little bit of ways with Trevor Bayne. And the results speak for itself. You can't not take in the 2003 champion for NASCAR.
Right.
It's just a move you can't overpass. And so bringing that in, I'm going to make the prediction that we will see him full-time next year. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, and I don't think that you have to, bet the farm on that one. I don't think that. I think that that's a no-brainer. The fact that he didn't have a seat to begin the season was, I think, one of the biggest travesties. Is here's a guy that is still driving the wheels off of it. Got a victory last season as well. Made himself to the playoffs. All right, well, our next show, of course, will be next week. We're going to have a lot of neat stuff coming up. But just to let you know, IndyCar, May 12th, Indianapolis Grand Prix. You're going to see the return of Helio Castroneves. He's going to be in a Penske car for the month of May. Formula One, the Spanish Grand Prix. Going to have that NHRA, May 18th to the 20th, the Menards. Heartland Nationals presented by Minties at Heartland Motorsports in Topeka, Kansas. So Kansas is going to have a lot of good stuff going on for the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
But we really appreciate you watching. Tell your friends about it. This is the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.